afternoon, everyone. We are here today for another match in the Azure Dreams Random Toolkit Tournament. And today we have Wugga facing off against Forza, and this is going to be a heck of a match. So I think both of these are some very strong runners, and I am excited to see it. Azure Dreams, for those of you joining us for the first time, is a PlayStation 1 roguelike game. It has a randomly generated dungeon that will form the basis of this run. In this tournament, our runners have 1 hour to climb as fast as they can, as far as they can before dying horribly or making it to the top, whichever happens first. Whichever one of them manages to get the highest within that hour and make it the highest first will be the winner, and then we will have at least one more match in that style, best 2 out of 3. What makes the Random Toolkit Tournament special is having randomized starting items using our randomizer. The rest of the tower will be pretty much vanilla, but today we're starting off with a Dreamin' instead of this happy little cube. And that's probably not going to be the most pleasant experience.
No, it will not.
Just a Dreamin', as it is sometimes said. I'm Lady Demi. With me today is Revan.
Hello, everyone. How we doing today?
So, a Dreamin', that is one that you don't think much about. It doesn't natively have a spell, so, it's a water Dreamin' at that, if I'm not mistaken. You can tell by the color palette. Let's monsters that are yours have a slightly different color palette than monsters that are not yours, and that is determined by their coloration, by their element. So yeah, you can lift the Dreamin', that is an example, and a Picket, which, if it were your starting monster, would have some virtues, I think. But as the hatched egg, it doesn't have its unlocked spell, so it's not going to be able to really be a substitute for a while yet.
Yeah, at this point, it's probably just fusion fodder. We'll have to see what how useful they deem it at some point.
Right. So, one thing that was mentioned is that you can lift Dreamin'. That is one virtue that it has that some monsters that we could see in this randomized tournament don't. Lifting monsters does a lot for sort of your toolkit, what things you have and what things you do not. This is, in general, not a good start to a match.
No, the Gold Sword starter in particular is not very good, because the Dreamin' magic, I believe, is an AoE magic. So they're not going to be relying on it overly much, I would assume.
Yeah, that is too expensive to use all the time. Luckily, when they do use it, you won't care about the Gold Sword's weakness, but that's not really all that great an advantage. That is like the one thing I can really say about it. Besides, it does look like Horza is going at familiar list. Unfortunately, he could be in a lot of trouble here. Oh, thank goodness. He's still in a lot of trouble. But he's not in the most trouble ever.
I like the shield toss there. He got a lot of extra damage out of that shield that he probably wasn't going to use anyway. So that was a good play.
Yeah, that was a really good play. One of those things that often doesn't make enough of an impact for you to think about it, but here I think really saved his bacon. That could have gone bad, and that's just sort of the nature of Azure Dreams, is sometimes every runner in a race except one dies on floor 2. That's one of the reasons we have a best 2 out of 3 format. The community as a whole is experienced enough that we don't see that sort of thing often, but Horza did just cut it really close. And he's lucky that trap ended when it did. Oof, the length of a trap is randomized, it can end on the first turn, it can end 50-something turns. So yeah, Horsa is deciding not to worry too much about that Dreamin' or that Picket. He's just going to go with his own wins, and that's certainly something you can do, and often have to.
I don't know how I feel about not leveling up the Dreamin' though. Especially with it being water, that could be incredibly useful on floors 10 through like 14-ish. Especially if he can keep its magic up for that long, that is.
Right, that is the thing. I think you get more use out of having it. One of the advantages of Horsa's, of running this familiar list, of just ditching it, is number one, you save the time for its movements and actions. Number two, all of the EXP is funneled directly into Ko and not into Ko and the Dreamin'. But I'm not sure if that totally balances out having that resource in your pocket. It looks like Wugga put on that Paralyzed Wand. Not sure why. It is cursed, which is not great. It's not going to do anything for him other than the occasional paralysis.
And now he's gonna have to deal with the added curse status, so we'll see if he can maybe find a cure-all herb, or if he's just gonna have to deal with it the entire time.
Yeah, that is an invisible status the game does not tell you about. A curse scroll, or which he is using now, does not make the status go away. It just means you can take off the Paralyzed Wand that isn't going to help you in any real way. Who's just having a bit of a time with it looks like.
He is having quite a rough time with these Cyclones. Like we said before, the Gold Sword only has an attack power of 1. And in a casual play, it's actually worth considering using, just for the fact that it actually can't rust. So every red sand you put on it is essentially a permanent boost, unlike any other weapon except for the Trained Wand. But in a speedrun setting, it is well, unless you're doing, you know, like a booklist percent or something where you want the money from it, the actual attack power leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah, it's not great when you don't have time to worry about training it up. It's as bad as a wooden wand, except, you know, when you're running familiar lists, it's basically a wooden wand, and that's not great. Right? While he is a very competent familiar list runner, at the same time, that he doesn't have really the toolkit to be doing it. This starting with the weak ball, we didn't mention the weak ball, but it's there. So he doesn't have any spell balls to back him up that are really useful yet. So he does not have a whole lot of it to help him here, basically.
It looked like he thought about reconsidering pulling the Dreamin' out, but he decided against it.
Yeah. I also think one of the advantages of having Dreamin' out, as Wugga does, number one, it's always another warm body for a monster to hit.
Oh, for
another,
sure.
its spell will only be useful ever if it is leveled up, pretty much, because it relies almost entirely on spell level.
That is true in a sense, if you want to actually kill things with it. However, on Wugga's side, he actually just picked up a Light Seed, which in this case would give his Dreamin' Mount Burn, which is quite handy at just turning things around if you can catch it fast enough.
That is a good point. but he's going for wind, and I'm not. I guess because he is now on these water floors, he's thinking that will be to his advantage. The water and wind forms of the AoE mixture magic are pretty much the same, only the fire version is different for some reason.
Yeah, the fire or the water and wind version, in hallways they attack whatever is around Co, and inside of a room it'll actually attack everything in the room. However, the fire version actually acts a bit differently in that it's the exact same in hallways and in rooms, where it's a 7x7 area of effect, which is quite useful as far as I'm concerned. It's definitely my favorite version of the spell. It might not be as damaging or as far-reaching as the other two, but it's infinitely more useful in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that the number of situations where having a ranged mixture magic that can also turn enemies around is pretty low, and the number of situations where you want other things is much higher. On the other hand, as this is pointing out, keeping the Forza could have kept the egg and hatched after solo leveling, but I think he was hoping to see it be something that he could use right out of the box. And unfortunately it isn't. Such is life, because that is the risk that comes with hatching that egg right away. On the other hand, the risk is what if your opponent does it and it's something fantastic, and suddenly they have a big advantage and you don't.
That is true. That is true. There's advantages and disadvantages to hatching and not hatching the egg, but ultimately I think hatching the egg immediately, especially if it's especially if it has a name to it, because I know we've seen in different tournament matches sometimes the egg will not have a name, and that is an indicator that it's either an evolved monster or a Cune. And if that is not the case, I definitely think the advantage is outweighed to just hatch it in case you get something fantastic, like a Garuda in the first tournament match that I had with MasterChef.
Yeah, I think when it's unnamed, you mainly want to do it if you're not satisfied with your starter monster for whatever reason, because those will have a mixture magic unlocked always, pretty much. All of the ones that would be unnamed would. And that's a little bit of an advantage. One thing, I don't know if Wugga picked up that Scarlet Wand. I know we had it earlier, and also, hats off. On the last floor, Wugga was doing a lot of U-boat dancing and doing it very well. It was like a nice, long, slow dance with the U-boat. Which is the fan nickname for stepping on the tile that the underground U-boat is on. They don't want to do that, but can. And so you can keep it from ever getting in that first attack that it wants to get by standing around appropriately, pretty much. By moving so that it will always be off of its natural rhythm. Not doing so well on this floor with it. And there are a lot more U-boats, and that's pretty scary.
Oh yeah, U-boats are always scary, regardless of what familiar you have. They are made a little less scary with an Earth Shield, but I think there's only one runner among us that actually considers the Earth Shield to be a good shield, and I think most people disagree.
Well, I think it's a good shield on these floors specifically if it's not cursed.
It just the ability to take a massive amount of damage from certain traps because you're considered to be earth element or wind element at that point I think it just outweighs the advantage for the most part. Obviously, it's very worthwhile using in combat, but just for running around, I think it's far too dangerous.
Yeah, that is the thing. It's a trade-off of a shield build, and so what you really want is for it not to be cursed, and then you can use it when you think it would be useful to you. Despite the fact that Horza doesn't really have a lot of fighting strength and so has to keep running, these two are very neck and neck. They are very close on top of one another.
And Wugga actually has the level lead because he's been killing a few things here and there, whereas normally you would think that Horza would be a little more leveled up, but in the case that he just doesn't have any attack balls, he's forced to run, and he's getting very underleveled for this point. He's in a pretty dangerous situation.
Yep, and this seed has been just a famine throughout. There has not been a whole lot of good tools in the toolkit they have been offered. We're here. We haven't seen spell balls. We haven't seen a lot of things that would be pretty handy. They do have a holy scroll. That's something I know they have a ton of fruit, and that can be used in a nice little glitch. But Wugga's not going to do that, and you know what? That's fair enough. They do have an acid rain ball. That is not going to have as many charges as other spell balls, and so its resource density isn't as high, but it is nice. It is an area of effect spell. And you do love to see that.
It looks like Horza's holding on to his, picking up a second weak ball, actually.
Okay. That's... Eventually monsters get strong enough that a second weak ball does not help.
No, not at all.
Any weak ball doesn't help. One thing you can do with it, though, is scout out rooms, is check ahead, and, like, the camera will follow the spell charge for a little bit. And that's kind of neat.
That is a good point. That is a good point. You could use, it could be a potentially great use for a weak ball, actually. I believe the poison ball would act the same way.
Yeah, I believe so as well. That's like the thing that comes to mind that could be especially useful about it. Wugga, picking up the blue collar, will be able to fuse that picket. I'm not sure if he's going to, if he can help it. But the picket is actually more, I think, maybe more useful in and of itself than as a fusion thing. While it does have, as a fusion trait, its double movement. Looks like Horza used that holy scroll, got a griffin now on his side for a little while. That's a good friend to have.
You know, I think the play here, and I think that Wugga actually has a nice head start on it, is you find the blue collar, fuse your Dreamin' into the picket. Well, actually, so the picket gets the AoE spell, and then its eating habit makes it so you can just spam the spell over and over. However, Wugga actually won't be able to do that without some serious investment in his picket, because unless he finds a leva fruit, because his Dreamin' is higher level and will automatically win the fusion.
Yeah, that's a bit of an obstacle in that. I think Horza got the acid rain ball. I know that there is an acid rain ball to be gotten. Looks like we're seeing Wugga use Mount Burn's ability to attack in hallways to get some range going on. That's, I think, a very good use for it.
Oh, absolutely, yes. Mount Burn is amazing in hallways.
Expensive, but amazing. We'll see if he goes for the picket, gets it first try, but doesn't do the throw, so just gets hurt by it.
Yeah,
Wugga
Wugga got incredibly lucky with that second pickup on his missed throw on that Griffin there. That was impressive.
Yep.
And Horza finds an egg on 14. This could be incredibly good.
Yeah, this could be a game changer. This could save the day for him. Well, he doesn't really need to. He is in the lead. He doesn't really need to save, but I think this could be a big one. The question is that what that he will be able to get out of this situation long enough to do? He does use that ton of fruit. That's a very good idea, I think, here. Doesn't pick up the frog, but the frog can't do anything about it.
So, what do you think is in this egg, Deme?
Well, I think a Garuda would suddenly change up the match. And I'm not sure how much I actually want to see that. While that's always a fun treat to witness the runners just zooming about, it's also a little bit another advantage of Mount Burn as a mixture magic. Just smack some things in a room that you're not in, personally.
I'm not sure if it's actually a possibility. I don't have a list of what it could possibly be.
It is a griffin. That's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad.
It's a fairly standard monster. It's used as an egg bomb, that is to say, throwing it at another monster. So it will hatch and deal damage, and then rubber is pretty good. It can refill MP. It can just be a solid standard monster. Looks like Wugga is going to hatch it. I think that is a reasonable...
Oh, for sure. Especially on the floors coming up. He'll be nice and safe from all of the pickets. He won't be able to be stolen from, as the Griffin actually has an ability to prevent theft.
Oh yeah, and it will also, if he wants to keep using the Dreamin', then he will also be able to say, fuse it into the Dreamin', get that cheaper mixture magic. Oh wow, this is a situation Horza.
I really hope he has that acid rainbow.
I'm not sure if he'll be.
It looks like he does not. I think it's all a holy.
I think he would die first.
He does have a holy bell though.
Okay, the holy bell managed to get that used without more monsters getting into the fray. So it looks like he'll be able to get to the elevator safely. Very nicely done. So we're seeing the Picket and the Griffin. For like double speed Griffin? Oh, okay. Not sure if it's that particularly useful, but not bad anyway.
I'm wondering what his thought process is. I wonder if he's planning on just using it for killing the pickets faster? Or maybe so he can have do his AI 1 strats more effectively, perhaps.
I think that's maybe it. I think he is hoping for some good AI 1 strats. Your monsters have a little bit of a difficulty with using that double speed because it is reliable. But it does have double AI, but AI 1 is about where that would come in handy, and it's a good solid monster, so it works out alright.
It looks like we're getting confirmation in chat that it is for the double AI 1 strats. But I guess in this case, quadruple.
We see him immediately taking advantage of that. And I think that'll be good to see. I think that will be fun to watch because, for one, that is a strategy which is out of the way enough that you don't think about it. This game is full of little ways you might personally think to do something, and that's one of the big fun differences in having players. Yours in between players is that everyone's got their little idiosyncrasies, even when they don't necessarily have the ability to use them. And I think being able to make individual choices is kind of what I always hope to see in a match, is a situation where there are multiple viable choices the runners can make.
Oh, absolutely, yes. This game in particular, and the tournament setting on top of that, just makes for the perfect opportunity for just those situations to happen. And it looks like we're having a little bit of inventory problems on Hordes' side, just clearing up some space for a Tumna fruit. Definitely worth it.
Yeah, I think so. A lot of his inventory is herbs. This has not been a generous seed. Also, hello people from SpeedGaming 3. Thank you for dropping on in. We are in the middle, just about the literal middle, of the first of a best of 3 match of Azure Dreams. We have the two runners having very different approaches. This is weird. To the game. Oh, I think. Nope. I thought he was going to do something glitch. Instead, he is just sending out that dream and die.
It looked like it worked to get it to turn around, though.
Yeah, that is one advantage. It's there.
And now this Maneva clone is basically no threat at this point, so...
Yeah, they are not very strong. They are kind of like a death from 1,000 paper cuts. Not unlike this Picket for that matter.
Just a little
does
slower.
have thievery. A very special boomerang. It's just a dreaming ring. And there goes that power ball. Well, it's not as if it's terribly useful in of itself.
Yeah, its uses are pretty niche, especially without him having a familiar to rely on to use it.
Right. Repel Ball enables some weird niche strategies with other items, mostly. And that's about it. You can't use it on yourself, so you can't deflect other monsters' spells without... What's the word I'm looking for?
I suppose you can, but it would take an extra charge, and I don't know how worthwhile that would be.
Yeah. Unstreams has a lot of things where, like, is this really worth our time? Is this really worth the inventory slot? You only ever get 20. And the answer is, maybe if you're lucky and desperate.
Yeah, I think being desperate is pretty the key in that situation. It's not something that you're going to bank on unless it's your last option.
Right. Or if you've got literally better to do.
Hordes are having some problems with these pickets. They just seem to love following him around.
So now, okay, he is bringing out the Dreamin'. I think we might see the two of them. Yeah, we're gonna see them fuse together. I think, though, that might get rid of the crit.
It will, yes. He'll lose the quick, but he gains the sleep proof and the AoE spell.
Yeah, that does have an advantage. And admittedly, actually I think double AI1 probably is a little bit less expensive, but only a little bit. Making good use of that acid rainbow. You don't really want to go toe-to-toe with Acne in melee. Now, the question is, he thought about using that CC. Is he
there we
going
go.
to? So
He's at least getting rather lucky with not having his items stolen.
that is very, very true. It's something that Horza is still having to deal with, particularly when he gets into a trap like that. One thing immediately worth noticing is that while Horza's been robbed so hard, and it's also really delayed his run here. He's falling a little bit behind. Not a lot. This is still a very close match. But yes, Shawnee has sent the pickets to give Horza a bad time, I think. Because Shawnee's favorite monster is a picket. He is a picket advocate.
I believe that Horza's the mayor of Vipertown, though, which they're coming up on quickly.
Right. This'll be Horza's chance to counteract this trouble with his own goons set on Wugga. We'll see if that works. Wugga found the elevator pretty quickly, but wasn't looking wrong. So we're probably worth it. I would maybe consider taking a swing or two at it. I mean, I think almost a picket that buys and sells stolen goods is a picket fence. Yep.
Oh, is that a Sand Knight joke?
That's a Sand Knight joke.
Yeah, I could smell that a mile away.
You know, it's kind of funny that pickets don't have a nose. The joke makes itself from there, I think, and it is terrible.
So we're seeing a slight lead from Wugga now. He's got 3 floors on Horza now?
Yeah, we're definitely seeing a little bit of lead forming. I think his ability to reliably take out enemies and get through situations without a lot of careful dancing and maneuvering. Some still, because enemies are hard and generally fighting, but the fact that he can means he doesn't have to deal with monster trains or thieves or so on. And I think that's balancing out Horza's ability to not fight things and sprint. Because he's not secure enough in his inventory to sprint madly up the tower, which is what you really want to be doing when you don't have a mode.
Yeah, those pickets were not kind to Horza at all. Right before he found the elevator, though, they had finally had enough and were leaving him alone after they had robbed him of his inventory.
Yep, and now he's having to deal with a little monster train, and in some senses the Mana Weave I think might be more helpful than not. In that, like, it's better than fighting the Arachne head on. But now he's in a pickle. He's got one Olim fruit, so that's one of these monsters that he can have gone, but which one?
Yeah, I think he's either gonna have... I think his only option is to get rid of them and even try to pick up the Arachne go.
Yeah, that is what he's doing. The pickets forming a union would be a picket line. He then points out if you choose a thief monster, you would pick it. So, back to commentary now that we're out of picket puns. For the moment being.
Horza needs to take a detour here. That Arachne ruining his plans.
Yep, he saw the elevator, he could not go to the elevator, and now he's in real trouble.
Hey, I think that's
the
it.
End of the run.
Yep.
Wugga takes round 1 here. Good job, but just not quite enough. So we'll let them know and let them reset for round 2.
Alright, they are notified. We'll wait for them to load up seeds, check them, and we will have another countdown.
Yep, I know that Revan knows what monsters will be the starting monsters because there's Chai, who will be joining us a bit later, presumably. You know, depending on how the timing works out. Checks to make sure that our seeds don't have a monster that would that has been known to cause some issues.
Yeah, we're pretty sure that monster is excluded, but he likes to just double check whenever he gets a chance to.
And sometimes you will hear the Chai report. I do not know. No, and so, like all of you, I'm going to be able to guess what monster we might see coming up here. What monster would we want to see coming up? I think this last run was really interesting in terms of monsters, so I'd like to keep it up. Something, a Viper Egg. It missed its attack, but, whatever. Have we had a Cune? I think so, yes. I think we might have had a Cune at some point.
I do believe we had a Cune. I don't know if he was used. I don't recall. I personally would like to see something like a Kraken, just because it's kind of a weird monster that nobody really seems to like running into. So surely it's got to be a great monster, right?
Well, we'll see. We will see if that will be fun to use. I will say one thing about the tournament is that the starting monster having its spell unlocked lets you use monsters you don't normally see used of a quality you don't normally see. Which, I mean, in any percent run, even if you find a Kraken egg or a U-boat egg, or, well, maybe not a U-boat egg, but several things. Cune is vanilla mode, which is to say pretty challenging, but all of our runs are very familiar about it. Cune is very reliable, very steady. You can get to the top in an hour with Cune if you're good and if you're lucky.
Oh, for sure. Cune is actually, as much as some people like to hate on him, Cune is actually a fantastic monster. He has a strong mixed magic. He has a fairly strong stat growth, decent MP, and he actually has quite a bit of MP comparatively.
He has, I'm pretty sure, the most MP.
Outside of Haikune, yeah, 100 MP.
Yeah, there we go then. Cheap mixture magic, you can pick up decent attacks from good HP. He's not stellar in any particular area besides MP, but he's stable. And all of our runners know a lot about him. Because he's what you're pretty much always playing with in any percent. We've had What? This is at least 3 tournaments of Cube. At this point in time, this community is 2 years old. This is for our 2nd anniversary. He is a good, solid little monster. Also, he's not brainwashable, which on those floors with the blooms is kind of nice and is one of the bigger things that you suddenly realize.
Yeah, the not brainwashable is actually you don't realize how good it is until it happens, kind of a thing.
Right. So, like, in casual, I would say, in casual, he's pretty alright, but there certainly are monsters that are better. There are monsters that are better in any percent, namely an Arachne or Garuda. And there are a lot of monsters that can more or less replace him. Like, say, that Griffin. Griffin is basically just a slightly different cube.
There's actually quite a monsters that are either basically Cune-like. Like a Tyrant is a good example. As long as its spell is unlocked, it more or less functions as Cune with less MP.
Most fire monsters, I would say, have that quality to them. Some of them can't be used as a Cune substitute in any percent nearly so easily. But in this one, there are a lot of monsters that are more or less as good.
Alright, we have a countdown. They will be off shortly.
Alright, we will see what is lurking in store. The main reason I think we wouldn't want to see Cune in a tournament setting, in this tournament specifically, is that it's what we see all the time.
Yeah, Cune is just a little too familiar for these runners. We want to see something that's a little more out there, something that they're not quite as used to. And just to see how they handle it, see what kind of different strategies they come up with, what kind of situations they can get themselves into and out of. And I think it just makes for a more entertaining style tournament.
Alright. Cune is this even randomized option? But yes, this game does have a community. It is a lot of fun. We do a lot of different events and tournaments, and we have some interesting run categories. So I have linked the Discord
It looks
in
like
chat if you want to check it out.
It looks like we have a troll.
Oh, that's not great. That's not great.
Unfortunately,
it is one of those monsters that is kind of a Cune substitute in that it has more or less the same sort of mixture magic, if I'm not mistaken, off the top of my head. But on the other hand, it's a wind troll. That's even worse. It just keeps getting worse.
Unfortunately, I'm going to have to drop out for a bit, but I'm going to leave you in the wonderful hands of Chai and Deme. So I will see you guys later, and I hope we have a good run here.
Yeah, let's see how they rise to... Gonna see what's in that egg.
Hello.
Well, welcome, Chai. How you doing today?
Pretty well. Thank you for helping out.
Yeah,
No
thank
problem.
you for stepping in.
Absolutely. I will catch you guys later.
Take
All
care.
right. Other good possible names for the troll would be UMAD. Either way, not maybe the monster you most want to see. While that Univern is something a little bit different, it isn't liftable, which isn't very great, and it does have that defensive extra magic. So I guess we're just going to see that wind troll, and that's less than ideal.
Our runners have like Ice Shield as the starting item, which sets them pretty well against the fire monsters, against which they're weak with their mixture magic. So that's actually pretty good combo, especially that like the very dangerous floors, especially in the beginning, are the water floors starting from floor 6. That they should be able to handle pretty well, thanks to the fact that they've got wind mixture magic.
Yeah, that is certainly one thing that their situation calls for. I will say one of the saddest things about trolls is that it's really hard to use the things that make them unique. Because while enemy trolls know perfectly how to use, say, a bow gun, a little crossbow, your troll doesn't really know how to do that on its own. No, it's not going to do that on its own. So, it's going to come with a hammer, and if you find it a crossbow, it's not going to go especially well. And AI1 here is, well, actually that worked out pretty alright, so there you go. Oh, but there is a good point that all enemy trolls also have their spell unlocked. Noah Grid all over this place. Are they also a wind elemental?
Oh,
Is
yeah.
that how this randomizer function works? Okay.
Yes, the starting monster changes the element of all the monsters of the same type. So now all the monsters that are in the tower will be wind.
All the trolls, not all the monsters generally.
Sorry, obviously, my bad. Yeah, all the trolls. And troll like Manoiva is a monster that we encounter in the tower more than once, because we'll be seeing them in floors, I presume, 2 to 4. And then we will see them later on floor like 16.
9 through, like 10 through 12, and then 16 for a little bit too. That ice shield does suddenly become a lot worse when ice is normally, I would say, the best of the 3 elements in terms of having on your defense. On offense, it can run a little bit shakier, but on defense, it's probably the best.
Oh yeah, like I think our runners didn't fully realize because, or maybe they did, I don't know, because that's a valid point from Skiff. Should a troll decide to snipe them at level 1 with their mixture magic, that probably would have had grave consequences.
Yep, as in, the consequence would be going to the grave.
Oh.
So that is a disadvantage, but there normally aren't a lot of heavy hitting wind monsters. There are some threatening ones, but they're usually threatening in other ways and isn't as hit or miss as quickly as the other 2 elemental shields, which can be a little shaky. Here it's just a bit different from having that.
Someone in the chat says that Forza actually did get sniped for 13 earlier. I'm just wondering, give me a second, because depending on which level Forza was, because Sled is the weakest of the spells. So yeah, that should be survivable even on level 1, I guess.
Yeah, Wugga found a light seed, turned his troll into its natural fire element. I think that's going to be I maybe would have actually waited. Like now that they're getting higher up, I might go past the point where their being wind elemental is more useful. But that's just
I fully agree.
It does have grid. I think that's the same. Yep, it does in fact have grid.
Oh, then Okay, yeah, and Sildra confirms that Horza was level 2. At level 1, I'm pretty sure that would have been death. I've seen that happen to me as well. So, yeah.
Yep,
When you
that
have
first
elemental
level-
disadvantage and you can get sniped by either a trap or a spell, you have to be very, very careful at level 1.
Yeah, that first level gives you the most rewards in terms of HP 10 and really separates it's the first hurdle. Once you are over that, you're immediately just a little bit more secure.
Oh yeah. And going back to your previous comment, I actually completely agree. I would have stayed wind because, the water floors are coming, and wind is perfect for that. I don't disregard wind, even though, yes, all of the traps that hurt you are fire, and that will hurt your monster much more. But more often than not, they can survive. The only thing that you really have to worry about is getting sniped, because that can happen as well. Like Griffons, especially, are very trigger happy when it comes to their spells. So you have to be careful with that. But that can work.
Yeah, I think the main reason Wugga is, if I'm not mistaken, Scarlet Wand. And that does give a pretty big boost. You get a boost just from having a wand when you're doing mixture magic that cares about Ko's equipment, and you get a boost if your weapon is the same weapon as the mixture, is the same element as the mixture magic, and these boosts do stack. Horza took off the ice shield and then put it back on to fight up against this balloon. They are hot air balloons, so even if you're thinking wind, you're mistaken.
I think Horza was hoping that, he's got a disadvantage in element, but actually on lower levels, the sheer fact that the defense that shield gives you is 5 in this case, it actually overpowers the fact that you've got elemental disadvantage. So you have to sort of calculate when actually it's better to take off the shield. In early levels, it might be so that it's still better to have the shield on.
Right, so Wugga has gotten to the part of the game that's the general sprint, and the first real difficulty spike in your vanilla playthrough, in your casual playthrough, where suddenly Kuhn is up against monsters that pretty much all hit him very hard, and you don't deal as much damage. That ice shield is now at neutral against basically everything except the balloons, and that won't stay unneutral much longer.
I'm just wondering, because I understand completely why Wugga went fire to have that additional bonus from the Scarlet Wand. But I wonder whether at this level, even not having that additional bonus from having wand of the same element, would it be still better damage-wise to actually use a wind monster? I'm just wondering.
Not sure, especially because they have a gold. Now, it could be cursed, might be wanting to avoid that risk. Wands do have a lower chance of being cursed than others. What are you up to, Wugga? Adjusting the camera zoom, probably accidentally, as sometimes happens. Certainly, as happens to me a lot. Wugga probably did see that elevator spin in to floor 7. That is a great opportunity for scouting. He now knows not exactly how to get to it as quickly as possible, but at least where to be looking for it. Which pathways might go the way he wants them to.
I quickly checked my previous question, and it seems that at level 5, the damage from Scarlet Wand and Fire Monster already overpowers having having a wind monster with a Scarlet Wand. Of course, if they were able to have the guarantee that they would be able to equip that Gulf Wand without any curse, that would have been probably the best when it comes to damage.
Right, and Horza has taken the Gulf Wand approach, and that paid off.
Okay, I think that Gulf Wand is not cursed, so Horza at the moment will be doing much higher damage than Wugga to water monsters, and that should be pretty safe to him.
Yeah, it looks like there's going to be a bit of a situation. Oh, warp trap. That can be bad. He's not far. No, he's very far away. Never mind.
Far away. Luckily, his monster is wind, and like we mentioned, this is water floor. So Troll on its own is not the most powerful monster, but he definitely has higher chance of survival being a wind rather than being a fire. And let's see.
Yeah, but that.
And
okay.
Oh yeah, but it was
there it goes. I think Commander Weaver's just surrounded and swarmed it, and that can happen at any time. Such is the nature of Azure Dreams.
So,
it's probably. I think he might find it a little. No, he's not going to find it too late for the universe. So we're going to see that.
Like we've seen in the previous match. Univern has AoE magic, and Wugga has shown us that AoE in the right hands can be very, very powerful. So I wouldn't say that Horza is in a bad situation. He just needs to level up that Univern a bit, and he still has very, very powerful spell in his hands.
Yeah, sadly that Gulf Wand is. I think someone said earlier in chat that it's sort of a choice between a good monster with a bad spell and a bad monster with a good spell. That Univern certainly is more competent on its own.
Yeah, the only problem with Univern and its mixture magic is that it costs quite much. Like mentioned earlier, it's 4 MP. So they cannot be trigger happy with it. They have to be very careful when they want to use it.
They also can't lift it. I believe you can lift it if it evolves from a unicorn because it will maintain the unicorn's weight, but this hatched from an egg directly. So we're not. And so there's a little bit of a loss of maneuverability here. Still, Univern does look really cool.
Oh, it does. But the nice fact about Horza is that he has both light and sea seed. So should he need, he can change element of the spell to whatever he needs to have. Like for example, when he reaches floor 10, most of the monsters will be mainly fire. So going water is not a bad idea. So
yeah, and that on a spell like the AoE mixture magic.
So as long as Horza is able to recover the MP, he should be able to climb high.
Yeah, I think this isn't a huge problem. He is falling a bit behind in when it comes to taking those levels that he wants to use to get the Univern up to a decent level to proceed. Hello, people from SpeedGaming. Thank you. Yes. Defense on a familiar. Sam Knight has a point. Defense on a familiar is simply not bad if you're having to choose between good defense and bad defense. Good defense is good. That's self-explanatory. But Sam Knight does have a point. Generally, you want your familiar to be behind you so that you are walking on traps and it is not. Because you have a little bit more control of what happens to you than you do to it.
We could have seen on the spin that Horza has an egg on this floor. I'm not sure whether Wugga has.
I believe so. Yes, I believe.
Oh yes, we can see.
Yeah, there it is.
And that egg can be something really, really good that would completely change this game. Like, what kind of choices do we have, Lady Demo, on this?
You know, honestly, not the. It could be. I think this could be a clown now.
Yes.
Now, this could be a U-boat, and that can be useful for scouting or fuse. Well, Wugga could fuse anyway.
Oh no! Goodbye, egg. Now Horza will never know.
Yeah, Wugga is prepared to hatch that egg, but no egg for Horza, and no more, and not so much of a lead for Wugga. The lead has narrowed back down as Wugga starts to enter the fire floors. Now,
I will switch the audio to Wugga because Wugga is in the lead, so we get to hear floor 10 music theme.
Right. Either way, so because your monster, you usually want it to be behind, not going to be taking a lot of hits, that defense isn't likely to really pay off in a dramatic fashion. Rush shield, that's unfortunate. And trap.
Seems so. And that's why Wugga was so careful checking every tile to get out of this room. But yeah, I'm wondering like what kind of strategy Wugga has now, because he was mentioning in the chat that Wugga sort of pre-hatched the egg that he found, so I guess he will want to hatch it, but most probably he's first looking for a blue color to see whether he could, for example, fuse this monster with something, or maybe he's looking for truth glasses to have a confidence on whether he needs to hatch that egg or whether it's just a monster that he can completely skip.
Okay, let me adjust the volume down so there's a fairly sizable volume difference according to chat. Let us see if that helps any.
In the meantime, we can see that the lead that Wugga had has shrunk a bit. I presume Wugga is on floor 11 and Horza is on floor 10. Unfortunately, we are not sure of what exactly floor Wugga is on because he chose to use HUD that doesn't show us the floor. But that also has some positive sides to Wugga because thanks to that, he can see a little bit better. The HUD doesn't block his view, so it's a little bit easier to see whether there are some monsters coming from the front side.
Okay, I've turned it down a bit more. Let me know how that is by comparison. It's a fairly sizable volume difference. Friends, I can keep trying to adjust. Anyway,
we can see on the side that he actually has lost his troll. So
that was a lot. That was a lot.
Oh yeah.
Back at the work trap.
Why do I think this way? Yeah, of course he's using Universe. Wugga finds glasses, but it's star glasses. It's not truth glasses. As amazing as star glasses are, because they let us know what is the floor layout. We know where's the exit, and that's the goal in the end. I'm pretty sure that he was hoping for truth glasses so he could have the confidence in that egg. Because we like Lady Deme mentioned, two of the monsters that can be found on that floor in an egg would be definitely a game-changing ones that our runners would hope to get.
Yeah, I think you could also, if you want to fuse it, I think a bloom would be a nice find that could be in that egg. It's got a great mixture magic. If the mixture magic wind and a solidly reliable mixture magic if in other elements, and so that's pretty all right. That's something. As a raw monster, as it were, I think only a clown or a U-boat would be especially useful. U-boat not directly, clown directly.
our players just high five on floor 12. They both reached it at around the same time, but it seems that Horza again takes the lead. Just by a few seconds, but it's a lead.
Yep, just a little bit. And we are sort of entering into an area where the elements are a little bit more mixed up. They're not all fire floors. And so the two runners are going to be having, I think, some more similar than different experience here. Oh, that's interesting.
It's nice.
Horza will probably be looking for the blue collar. I think either of those runners might. Oh, that could be
Blue collar
good.
and an egg. That's an amazing room. So I think both of our runners will want to have that blue collar for options. It's not just like to fuse the monsters per se to like get the skills, but also to change the element of the monster or maybe even recover some of the MP. So blue collar is always a good option to have.
Yeah. Now I think that. Oh, is it a second deep blue egg? Huh, that's interesting. I need to look, because if it is, then they are the same thing, and so it has to be something that can be found on both floor 7 and floor 12.
So we've
I
got.
think that limits some of the options a bit, but I don't know the tables well enough to say with absolute certainty what that leaves.
So it definitely can be a clown because it's on both. It can be a dreamin, just a dreamin. And it can be U-boat, or it can be a volcano.
It is an umber egg, so it is a different type.
Oh, it's a different one. No, so then we don't know.
Right, so that is two options that could turn out to be interesting. I think the monsters in this run are not the best. And so they're probably going to want to look at those if they're able to.
It seems that Horza also pre-hatched the egg a bit, but he didn't check it fully in the end. So, yeah. And Wugga, if I
has not
right,
had the time to hatch either of those just
he didn't
yet.
hatch any of the eggs, so we don't know. We can still get a U-boat or a clown, or even maybe a Garuda from that floor 12 egg, and that would change even more. Suddenly
Right.
the run would become crazy. Okay, like my time here has come to an end because it seems that Revan has come back faster than expected. So I'll give back the mic to him. Thank you so much. Enjoy the game. Bye.
Thank you for filling in, Shai. I appreciate that so much.
All right. If you need a slight recap, they started with the troll, hatched the Uniburn. They both have hatched the Uniburn. Only Horza's really using it. Lost the troll very early to a warp trap. They have Wugga has an egg from floor 7. Horza hit a go-up trap just in front of it. Very unfortunate.
I see.
They both have an egg from floor 12, and they both have a blue collar.
Okay, so it looks like we're fairly even then for the most part.
Yeah, it's still pretty close, all things considered. I think Horza's had a slightly rockier road, and that's been true in both races since, given how the first one went. So let us see what are in those eggs. A U-boat. That is pretty nice.
That is incredibly interesting.
Huh. 2 deep blue eggs for Wugga. That's very curious. So they're both U-boats, basically. But Horza's was a different color, and I'm not sure what that really means, but either way, U-boats. That's pretty good. U-boats can basically act as a portable star glasses.
Yeah, and the best part about them is that you can feed them just anything off the floor, seed and herb, it doesn't matter. As long as they have at least 1 MP, they can use that function.
Right, that is a neat advantage. advantage to them. You don't have to have the full amount of MP you need to do a thing. Oh, I see. That's interesting. I don't think I've noticed that before, that the names are still random per game, even with a seeded tower, because we have randomized these starting kits and seeded the tower so that they mostly should be playing the same tower, but I get some little things are different.
Yeah, I think Chai was looking into that not too long ago. It has something to do with the item obfuscation, just the way that the game handles it. It's the same content, but the name of the item is slightly different.
Interesting. Neat. Either way. Yes, hello! Oh, Aphrodite. We are doing some Azure Dreams. We are about halfway into the second of this best of 3 match. The two runners have diverged pretty significantly in terms of what monsters they have and what gear they are using. This is the programming equivalent of monkeys typing out Shakespeare. I'm sure we will all agree. Either way, looks like Wugga's going to be using that U-boat to start scouting out and seeing what is on this floor.
Yeah, he's going to be speeding up quite a bit from this point on. Just being able to see the entire floor layout is incredibly useful.
Looks like he's setting the Univern on. I think that's a pretty sound choice. Luckily, he is able to just take advantage of the questionable aggro range that Manoemas have. Just get a little hit. Yeah, the eggs are one of... I really would love to know what the thought about randomizing and hiding the egg thing were. Or to make it feel a little bit more mysterious what you're getting to. The excitement of, it could be anything. It could even be a monster egg. It is a heck of a game under the hood. Like, I think it does that roguelike thing where it's a little bit opaque mechanics, and I think that certainly does impact things. Looks like he is using that Holy Scroll Arachne. Great playability, I think. Being able to consistently keep the excitement of a monster egg for a while works on a lot of us.
It looks like we have Horza hatching an egg. Is this the same egg that Wugga just hatched?
Yes, yep, I believe so. Actually, it's not the same egg, because I'm pretty sure Wugga hatched the floor 7 egg. But it's the same monster. Just a different history to it. So the question, I feel like he's probably going to use U-boat in the same way Wugga has, but maybe not. U-boat does have a fun mixture magic.
Oh, he does.
But he's going to use it to scout. He needs to get on board.
Hey,
he needs to catch up a little bit. He doesn't know the gap has gotten pretty big here. And I think some of that is just maybe the difference between the two monsters. As much as we knocked on Troll earlier, I think having a very reliable spell does help a great deal than having a very expensive spell that you might not always want to use it.
Yeah, I think that's the key here. The Troll might not be as powerful, but it does have a useful spell that you can rely on for every encounter that you come across, whereas the Univern has a really powerful and useful spell. I know I'm not going to knock it, but it's also 4 times more expensive, so you really want to limit it to what you really need it.
More than 4 times, actually. Actually, the sword mixture magic costs less than 1 MP compared to the AoE mixture magic, which does cost 4.
Oh, really? Interesting.
So it is more than 4 times more expensive, and that's something they might end up feeling as time goes on, in both the direct MP cost and in the indirect time cost of how long battles take, how long decisions take. Yeah, it costs 0.5 MP. Maybe sword mixture magic, which is one of the nicest thing about it, besides that it cares about what weapon you have equipped, which doesn't matter nearly so much some of the time. But on the other hand, yes, Shy turned from a voice into letters. It is magic. That is the only explanation here. We are seeing Horsa put some speed back on him when he goes to Viper Town. Viper Town is a pretty scary place to have a fire monster. He's luckily more or less out of it, and so this is a bit safer? A bit.
Just a little, yeah. He still has to deal with vipers for a little while, and unicorns, which can be pretty dangerous if they get a blind off. But fish, and unicorns he can actually deal with fairly easily because they are wind. So he doesn't have a whole lot to look out for, but what he does need to look out for is pretty dangerous at this point.
Yep. We are rapidly reaching the point where your standard offensive and defensive options don't matter very much. The monsters have been sort of scaling much faster than Ko does. And at this point, Ko is far and away the weakest thing in the tower. Ooh, another egg. Sadly, we are out of the Gerudo zone. Not the most high day in the world. There's some nice things it could be. I'm not sure if we'll see it be any of them, though.
At this point, I don't think we'll see Wugga hatch an egg unless he absolutely needs to. He's probably going to hold on to that for most likely food for his U-boat or potentially an egg bomb.
Yeah, either of those make it a good option. Eggs are pretty handy to have just on hand. So not a whole lot of problem with this floor. We can see this go pretty deep into the tower, where if things go well. If things go poorly, maybe not so much. So we're already pretty deep. We're halfway. More than a reasonable climb here. You know, it might be more efficient MP-wise to get rid of that U-boat and hatch the other one, but it might not be more efficient time-wise.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely not. It's definitely a lot faster to just feed the egg to the U-boat and keep going. I do agree, though, it's definitely more efficient MP-wise to just hatch the other egg.
Right. I think you pretty much always have to assume you're behind, that your opponent had everything good happen to you that has happened to you, and none of the things that were bad that happened to you happened to them. I think that's the only decision you can make. We see Wugga, by the way, using his camera zoom to make the U-boat's animation take less time and get that scouting report just a little bit faster.
And I believe that's because that's caused just because the U-boat is off screen faster. Is that right?
Yeah, that's basically the long and short of it. Once the U-boat is off screen, it just shows you the map. But sometimes it can take a frustratingly long amount of time to get that. hit that off screen, particularly if there's an obstacle. The U-boat might get very confused. It's very silly to watch.
It looks like Horza's in a bit of a pickle with these two unicorns here. One of them's actually a friendly now.
Yep, he is just going to have to hope that nothing unpleasant happens with that. Taking a little opportunity to chill in the Holy Scroll protected beam, chucking his unicorn at the other unicorn. Since it's already taken some licks, it'll probably go down a bit faster than the enemy unicorn would, which isn't ideal, but it's there.
He's gotta be feeling good about that level up though, and with the friendly unicorn being so low, he might even be able to gain a second level off of it.
Maybe. Wugga has really been running away at high speed at this point. The gap is pretty big.
I didn't actually catch what floor is Wugga on.
28? 29-ish? Something like that? Pretty far up the tower.
He's got a pretty sizable lead then, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like he will be using the Manoeva's very short cone of vision to the most effect possible. Also, that a lot of I don't think I noticed how many acid rain balls Wugga has picked up. It's not very common. And so he has been pretty lucky in that regard.
It looks like Horza holding on to some Mazar seeds. I wonder what his process is about that.
U-boat food being worth making more to him than the HP gains, which, like most things brought to you by level ups in this game, do give you diminishing returns. Wugga getting 2 at once from that killer there. That's pretty nice when you can get it. It's certainly a threatening enough monster that he doesn't want to bother with the troll quite as much. And with using it in that way, we see him feeding the egg to the U-boat, getting some more scouting done. And there's a warp trap. Luckily at this point, the warp trap isn't all that bad. The worst thing that could happen with a warp trap for Horza is warping away from the elevator, which is admittedly but not so bad. Oh, he is out of binding ball uses, takes a hit from that necklace over on Wugga's side. Now he's kind of got to figure out what is he going to do. And the answer is acid rain, but those balls don't have a lot of charges, and so that's not going to be an option for too much longer. I think he only has the one left.
I believe that you only find one charge in them at a time, typically.
Yep. They are not very generous with those because they are so powerful. Also, Wugga running into the bit of story that happens in the town. Right by the elevator, very polite, very considerate. Thank you, Mr. Belvo. Where's it gonna be hatching an egg? That'll be nice to see. I think the question I would have now is, how far do we think that Wugga can go here? Certainly this situation is pretty dire. atmosphere that he's in specifically. Yep, that's the acid rainbow he's already used.
The nice thing here is that he can actually make his troll rather tanky by using that water ball on it. It's surprisingly effective.
Doesn't that mainly defend against fire monsters though, which admittedly we're gonna start seeing more of soon?
Oh yes, for sure. It does only work against fire monsters, but that killer was a prime example of a fire monster.
Oh yeah, you're right.
The killers they hit incredibly powerful. They are one of the strongest monsters in the tower, and the water ball can cut their damage down to, I would presume, single digits, just because it's that it's that strong. It's
nice.
Its uses are fairly niche though, because generally you want to either avoid or give some kind of a status ailment to them and run away. But in situations like Wugga's in, where he just doesn't have that option, being able to survive a hit or two can be, the difference between life and death at that point.
Looks like Wugga found a flame ball beside. Yeah, this will do me for fire elemental attacks. This will allow me to handle all the golem powers work. Which we'll see if that's true, but it's certainly not an unreasonable assumption to make.
That pick could come in handy if he could fuse his Univert into it, so he could have a virtually unlimited spellcaster. I don't know if that's something that he is looking for at this point, though.
Yeah, at this point, it might be just a little too late, but we'll see. Oh no! Floor with glaciers in it. This has the potential to become an Olympic curling event.
And he plays the Holy Bell. I think that's the way to go. They just run around and ignore Ko, as far as I know, because they can't attack him in that room, and there's nowhere for them to go. They're trying to find an exit, so until it wears off, they just kind of wander around.
Thank you, that's very useful. I did not quite know that was how that happened. I will bear that in mind for the next time I might find such a thing. Yeah, SK's absolutely stunning record lives another day. It looks like they're coming to it. No, it looked like they were both pausing for a moment. And given that Horse has been still for a while, I wasn't sure if maybe... Oh, he had soft locked himself.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. What did he do to cause that?
He used a Mazar C, the ones that he was saving for U-boat ammunition. That ended up not working out. I think is a very simple way of putting it. I guess the game is confused. Do I give it MP? How do I use this on a monster that doesn't MP? Do I give it a level, or do I give it... What am I doing here? And the game does not know how to resolve this problem. That is my guess as to what's happening.
I can honestly say I don't think I've ever seen this soft lock before. I've encountered quite a few through my practicing for this tournament, but this is not one I've seen. Yeah, it's a little mysterious. It's Wugga very close to the top. This climb has gone by very quickly while we were looking into the whole soft lock of it all. Keeps saying in the race Discord that sometimes it does not cause soft lock. Wugga saying sometimes it does.
as Wugga has run into this before. Wugga makes it to the top of the towers. Not actually going to make a whole lot of difference in terms of who wins the match, but it is a shame that it doesn't seem to be paying off. Wugga will be advancing and has won this best 2 out of 3.
I'll check to see if they're up for a friendly third or possibly an interview and see what we have in store for us.
It looks like they might be.
So, assuming we have a friendly third, chat, what are your guesses for starting monsters and eggs?
Yeah, that is the question. It might be nice, powerful, and neat. It looks like we will be having a friendly third. Do I dare boot up the third cursed seed?
Yeah, it seems he's not been happy with the seeds generated for this matchup. Kind of similar to my last matchup. They were pretty dry of some certain quality of life items.
Yeah, this has been... I think the seed got more generous as we got deeper into it. But it's still...
It looks like we will be having a friendly third. So, what are our guesses, chat? We got 2 glaciers. That could be interesting.
That could certainly be something. Well, here's a question. What weapon are we expecting?
I know when Shawnee generates seeds, we typically get to see dark swords, holy swords, and the like of that. But I'm thinking a good old fashioned steel sword would be nice.
Yeah, that would be nice.
A Viper starter. That's an interesting one. It has access to one of the D mirror or D wall, I'm not sure, but it has the paralyzed magic in wind form.
Yeah, that would be pretty nice. I think I might also say, how about a U-boat starter, but the secondary monster does not have a mixer magic. So it's summon magic.
Yeah, I don't know how I would feel about it. I don't know how I would play that. I'd probably try to go up familiarless just to avoid using the U-boat's magic, because it's not bad, but it's also really slow, and it's not something that you really want to rely heavily on in a tournament setting. That and the scout ability is incredibly expensive. I think it's something like 16 MP per use.
Yeah, I think that is most likely the case. It's pretty expensive, and so if that is your starting monster, that might not be the thing you most want to see. Yeah, the Wind and Fire class are pretty normal. They're like 1 time named 7, then straight shots forward, and so they're pretty fast, while the water one gets very fancy. Has a big old water dragon going through the entire screen and zigzagging his way through all the monsters in the room in turn, and it just takes forever.
That is a good point. We're seeing in in chat, Skeef is saying only the water version of the U-boat's mixed magic is slow. The fire and wind are actually fairly quick. However, there's also some niche uses or some like niche qualities about that version. I don't recall which. I think it's the wind version of the U-boat's magic. It actually still deals water damage.
That is correct. It still does. Hard to say how useful that would really be because wind is like kind of the worst type defensively. Because you've got traps and you've got some very strong fire monsters that will just give you a bad time. But defense doesn't matter for monsters nearly as much as offense does. Yeah, that is a weird little glitch with the water summoning, with the earth summoning spell Gaia Shoot. It's just like that for strange reason.
Yeah, I'm not sure what causes it to function that way. The actual water version with I believe it's called Siryu, the dragon that he summons. It deals water damage, and the fire damage also deals fire damage. It's just some weird quirk with the wind version for whatever reason.
Probably just sort of like a damage. That would be my guess. It probably just says, it probably just factors it in that way in the calculation. The niche of it would be pretty weird, I think. Excuse me. Yes, someone did in fact dare you. So we will be beginning this friendly third. I'm going to need to remark Wugga's second point as we get ready to begin.
I will just double check Horza's seed very quickly and we'll get this started. And it looks like his seed is good as well.
Yep, so there should be no delays in getting underway. We like making sure that we've got everything in order when we've got a seed thrown at you back to back. Like this. So let us see what there is in store today. Once everything is set up and in order. So, since it's Valentine's Day, I was commenting that might be due for future Valentine's Day here in the Azure Dreams is this game does have something of a dating sim component. In between, the game expects you to leave the tower fairly often, usually timed with a floor art direction change, basically. Simply representing some difficulty spike or another. And I think it would be... And between trips to the tower, there is a whole town full of cute girls to meet and learn their stories, friends, and solve their emotional problems, and all of that dating sim stuff. There are also some quests to do, some buildings to make, and we do more of this in our book list category, which is where we do everything in the game except fill out your sister's little monster book, because that's very luck-based and very tedious, and there are very few strats for it that are separate from book list strats, basically. Except, hope you get the right eggs, monsters, whatever. So,
and there
book list would be an interesting one. Book list runs are certainly long, 80% runs that turn into these tournaments. I know we've done sort of a bookless summer of bookless runs to try and get some more into that longer category. Oh, a bloom.
A bloom. Okay, let's see what kind of element they start off with.
Wugga making that Orlando bloom.
Ah, yes, the Sand Knight Special. That's his go-to. That's his go-to name.
Yeah, the book is hard to finish, and I believe the 100% runs are much longer than the bookless runs in general. So that's why we have bookless to begin with, is to save the bother of that. One thing, we also occasionally have some joke categories like percent, or the so-called... Oh, what element is Orlando there?
That is a fire element bloom, and they found a scarlet one and a scorch shield. And it seems this time around they're gonna have a flame ball off the bat and a block out of the egg.
Nice. That's a pretty handy monster. I get the feeling we'll more likely be seeing Orlando there. One thing that is pretty neat about the fire elemental version of the spell, we talk of the wind version because it's great, but that will, number one, tear about the Scarlet Wand, and number two, blind enemies. At least some of the time. It looks like that resolved very quickly.
I don't think that any version of the blade mixture magic like they're using now actually matters what weapon you're using.
No, it does. I've checked. I have resolvedly and can say that it does count.
Oh, okay.
It uses Ko's melee attack as a base and then adds on to it. The second attack of the water form does not care, but the first attack does.
Oh, interesting. I'll have to keep that in mind for my later runs then.
Sandai pointing out that a fire... All of the monsters in the tower, like Love, will be blind.
So in this situation, Deme, would you go with the fire bloom or would you switch to the block? What would your plan be in their shoes?
With that Scarlet Wand, there's certainly a lot of appeal to the fire bloom. I think I might go with that. I think I would prefer that to the spell, which is what block has. It costs less MP. The blade spell does cost a bit more than the sword or mixture magic. So that's certainly something to consider. But this is a pretty generous seed after all of that trouble. I probably wouldn't switch to the block. I might fuse the block into the bloom later to get that double defense. That's pretty nice. I think it's 0.75 MP, if I'm not mistaken.
I think in this situation, I would probably end up using the block until I found something wind-related, just so I could get the paralyzed. And then maybe end up fusing the block into the bloom after the fact.
I stand corrected. The blade is 0.5, and so the same as the... It's the wave that's 0.75, unless it's the low-grade version of the wave magic. Then, that version is 4, and there's no real good reason for it. Either way, I think I would probably keep the bloom relevant until I find that wind thing anyway, because the way I see it, its spell being higher level is only going to help me more.
I'm personally just not a fan of the blind version of this spell.
It's not bad. Not
No,
great, but it's not bad.
Yeah, it's not
On
bad.
the
I
other
just,
hand, the block has area of effect magic. And like, is that really what you want? I mean, I guess if you're planning on eventually, maybe the expense of it is fine, but I think this is a steady and reliable sort of plan, and so that works for me.
yeah, you definitely got that right. It's definitely more reliable, I think, than going block. Just because in a sticky situation, you can take a hit, blind your opponent, and you can just casually walk away.
Right, that is an advantage. Certainly that's why I prefer the fire. Wind is still better. But you know, there is some value to be behind an enemy or else use blind balls.
Oh, that's actually an interesting thing to point out, Skeef. Blind monsters can't use spells or abilities, so it's actually a little more useful than I was giving it credit for to begin with.
That makes sense. Because the AI on blind monsters is to walk forward and attack. Spells are generally used at range here. And so I think waste that interferes with the AI needed to spell is my guess. That is a good point, is that Zoo's blade in Soviet Zooktown. Thunderblade paralyze you. But yeah, this is a situation where he has been in this corner and they're fighting these monsters for a while now.
I think you use a fireball in this situation. Or his flame ball, I think.
I think that might be the case. It looks like more things are still coming for him. When will he return from the corner? Who knows? Oh, we are getting into proper nouns, or collective nouns. I think we have determined bouquet of blooms is correct.
I like that. That's good.
So let's see what else we can do. I believe the correct term for balloons is a bunch. A cacophony of noises. Still not sure about.
Oh, he got the brainwash on the balloon on the balloon there. That could be a real boon.
That's unusual. That is an ploy, but it is something that only the bloom can do for this one entry room. This must be a very small. Everything is coming this way. I like a puddle of mana weaver. I'm not sure. Since I got through that sword and shield look, I'm gonna say maybe a legion of flames. I think that goes. I believe that the proper noun for a unicorn is either a charm or a blessing, depending on who you ask. I'm going to go with blessing. I think that's cute. And as a I think Sandknight probably. Did Horzo lose?
He did. His bloom died trying to
Get out of that room. This is a
Yeah.
2-room floor, so that explains how everything was prepared. How an entire floor's worth of monster rooms at a small space. Seeing Wugga ditch the Scorch Shield now that we're in her town. I like a wall of blocks. Let's see, what else is there? An irrelevancy of Palimpas.
Aw, why do you hate the little guys?
I think they're cute, but they're just not especially anything. Not especially good, not especially bad, not especially anything. They just are. Let's see, I suppose we could also come up with a cuter collective noun. Let's see.
A squish of Palumpa.
I don't think that has quite the right sound, but we're getting somewhere. Let's see, what do you call a bunch of kittens?
A litter?
Yes, I think there is a special collective noun for kittens, if I'm not mistaken. But maybe I'm just not remembering that. And maybe I'm bunnies that have a special noun for their babies.
And it looks like Wugga's taking the lead by maybe a floor now, with his bloom still intact.
Yep, that certainly is. I think with Manawiba, I would maybe suggest maybe cell, both in the sense of a cell as in a group, but also as in a one-cell amoeba, or maybe a splitting of Manaweebas. Because you get them when one Manaweeba splits into several. Yes, I think I like that one just a little bit better. Let us see. I believe U-boats come in a flotilla, I'm pretty sure.
Horse is trying to make this mix magic on his block work out, and it's just too low leveled at this point. Even on water monsters, he's on. Oh no, actually, that's why he's having trouble. His bloom is actually fire now. He's trying to use wind magic against fire elemental enemies.
That would explain it. That's a good point. I would say maybe it's a generation. That's what. But a nest for vipers is a town. So you have a generation of vipers living in Viper Town, thus solving all issues of nomenclature. Is that even how you pronounce that word? Now well. Let's see, what else do we have to consider? Oh yes. I'm going to suggest that trolls come in a forum.
A meme of trolls, yeah. Nice.
Unicorns come in a blessing. I think we've established this. Yeah, we went in basically the same direction. Forum of trolls. But forum sounds a bit more like a group. Because it also has that implication. So let us see. Oh, a griffin. I think do griffins come in a flock or do griffins come in a fry? This is the question. Are they birds or are they lions?
I would suggest flock just because they typically have the ability of flight.
Yeah, alright. A murderer griffins, but crows are not eagles. Certainly they are very murderous. Oh, goodness.
And
a kindle of kittens. That's what I was looking for earlier. So we could have a kindle of palumpas. That sounds kind of cute.
We actually already have a murder of killers already. Sorry, Lupo.
Did we say a murder of killers?
I don't think
that
we got
definitely
that
does
far.
work.
It was something that I had talked with Sam Knight about before.
Okay. A murder of killers absolutely works. So let us see. Now, I believe that because mules are horses, they come in. I think that is how that works. Why are mules horses? I don't know. They just are. Yeah, a Tower of Naples sounds nice. I mean, I suppose the Monster Tower is a Tower of Naples on some levels. A sleepover is another good alternative. There's something I wanted to look up, but now have lost my train of thought on. I feel like there must be. Someone at this point has come up with what clowns come in. I'm going to maybe suggest that they come in a band or maybe a circus.
Yeah, a circus sounds actually pretty relevant.
Yeah. A circus of clowns.
Oh, Wugga has a wind seat.
We're gonna see some paralysis going on. Lift and paralyze. Also, Bloom, don't go walking into sword trolls. That's very rude. Going to see that become a little bit of a boomerang there.
Ooh, what a little parade there on Wugga's side.
Yeah, bit of a parade. Or I guess a bit of a forum.
Yeah, I suppose.
Oh, you're right. A clown should come in a posse. That is correct.
Yes. Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, Garudas might have a conversation. Or, and there goes
no.
Bloom. Very sad. A short-lived dream.
He does still have a block that he can fall back on if he really needs to, but I don't think he's put a
At this
ton of
level,
effort.
I think not. Okay, so now we really need the collective bound Garudas. I'm going to say maybe a conversation. A tribe works. Yeah, okay, let's go with the tribe. Hey, but Garuda's revenge is coming, and this does not look good. I wish I were writing any of these down, but I am absolutely not, and will forget about it tomorrow. Or in the next 5 minutes, one of the two. Thank you, Luke, for liking, for listing, for getting a good list of collective downs for inspiration. Yeah, we're definitely seeing a lot of spell ball uses here, which isn't the most ideal, but whatever keeps you alive, your inventory is a to you if you die. That is just facts. And in this sense, I think maybe losing the block might, in the long run, or losing the bloom early enough to use the block in the long run might contribute.
So Deme, if you wanted to be able to keep track of brackets and the different schedules for all of these incredible Azure Dreams tournament matches, where would you suggest people do?
Well, I would suggest that you join our Discord or follow or check out any of the links you posted in chat just a moment ago. Or like 15 seconds ago, depending on who is watching it when. And join our Discord. We have a great community. You can request the Azure Watchers role, which will let you be pinged for any tournament match. And sometimes other special games, or just anytime you might want to be pinged for Azure. Looks like Wugga successfully using the copper coins as a bit of a shield against that picket, who, because they are thieves, come in a gang.
Oh, of course. Yeah, that makes sense. I like that one too.
Yep. Let's see.
And Shawnee is their leader.
Yes. A flash is also pretty good. Here, let me see what I was about to look something up. Oh, yes, now I remember. Because now that we're in the area of arachnids, it is time to look up what the collective noun for spiders is.
Oh, Horza getting hit by a lowdown. That's not doing him any favors.
A clutter or a cluster, apparently. Well, I do always say that they cluster truck. Just all of those trucks at once. So I suppose that works. Let's go with the cluster then. Oh, that's gotta hurt. Losing that fireball, one of the sadder things one could lose. Doing a lot of spinning of the camera, which I normally like to spin it, but I normally also spin it away. Wugga is, from the way it was moving, judging that that was the one with his fireball, he is correct.
And luckily, he still had a fire spell to chuck at it to get his other one with charges back. It was a nice play.
Yeah, I think that was a very good use. Yes, we do. Have a handy link to the Discord. It also has a section for the Game Boy Color version of Azure, if that is something that people remember playing in days of yore, and then no one ever spoke of it ever again in their life. Here it is, the end of that suffering.
And something important to keep in mind about the Discord, it may actually be called Azure Dreams Speedruns, but everyone is welcome. You don't have to be a speedrunner or even interested in speedrunning. As long as you play the game casually, I mean, you're good.
Yeah, and we have a lot of great resources besides the randomizer, which can do way more than we are showing off. It can do so much. It can change up just about anything. It has special game modes, like a mode where you get to pick out 20 of your favorite items on a special first floor, and then no other items ever spawn. That's pretty fun. And you can technically have, I think, an endless tower, though for that, if you're looking for a challenge, you might want to check out the randomizer's second tower mode, because it turns out that sometime after completing most of it, but before release, the Azure Dreams devs decided not to give you access to, decided to close off access to an entire second and presumably post-game tower that you can access from the second floor if you have a special item and the right flag strip. And so the randomizer gives you those flags, gives you that item, and lets you explore that second tower.
The second tower is something that I've played around with a little bit, and it is quite enjoyable, actually. It gets much more difficult than the regular tower, but it's quite fun. You can find some interesting monster combinations. The classic Viper Maneva combo is quite infamous.
Ooh, that could be weird. Now that I am thinking about it, it also has, besides also being like much longer, last I heard it's a little unstable once you get past floor 99 or so, but also there are 99 floors between that point, so good luck with that. And all items have their names concealed in sort of a way, and you have to find them individually. The Japanese version does have descriptions for those items, but how often that really comes into play is pretty variable. You might not be able to get much use out of them if an audience. Or I guess a French-speaking audience, because we do have a lot of French speakers in the community. That's pretty neat. It is a very international community.
So, do you think that we're going to see Horza go out of his way for the blue collar?
That is a good question. I'm not sure I would. Circumstances. Does he have an egg? He might have an egg, and so that might appeal him. Oh, also because Sand Knight is part of the community, you can blame him for just about anything. Oh, stealths. We are now in the stealth zone over on Wugga's side. He has really sped through the tower now that he has lost his bloom. But stealths pose a significant obstacle. Well, since even though they aren't as individuals strong, they can get some hits on you before you even notice it. And so running around on low HP, if you get into any situation. A transparency of stealth, I think a conspiracy of stealth might also be pretty nice. It evokes like spies. Secret assassins, you know?
Ah, looks like he doesn't need to go out of his way. It's right next to the elevator.
Very nice. A cloak of stealths is also pretty good. Yeah, when you see a stealth coming, they're not much of a problem. But walking around in low HP on a stealth floor means courting death at any moment, and that's very possible and not very nerve-wracking. That is very I would say not very fun, but let's be honest, Azure Dreams just utterly destroying you is kind of fun.
One of the quirky things about stealth is they can actually spawn on the map already invisible. And something that Wugga just did, he actually used the monster loop to negate their invisibility effect at all. They once you use that on that floor, they are incapable, or I don't know if they're incapable, but they just physically won't use the invisibility thing anymore.
Oh, that is fascinating. An unknown in the game would never tell you that. So that's neat. Wugga is... Oh,
Finding a Barone. Let's see if he takes time out to try and feed it, or if he's just gonna kill it. It's worth quite a bit of experience, I'm sure.
Oh, there we go. I think he was just waiting for it to wake up. That would have been great. Except it's not. Holy Sword could come in really handy. I might maybe consider that weak ball.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at too. The weak ball, it's gotta go.
And now this is the sad end of this Barong. Still gonna be able to use it for something. Unfortunately, did not work quite the way one wanted it to.
Now, I don't think he saw the snowman in front of him. I know I didn't.
Yeah, the door frame, that was just a weird situation. Yeah, rooms are now the safest place for Wugga, except for traps, and at this point, traps aren't the worst thing that can happen to you anymore. Unless something else happens to you at the same time. There's that elevator, going to recover some HP before going on his way. Wow, that is a very significant lead on his side. He is certainly a very fast runner. And when he gets the opportunity to. And I'm also just generally confident in his skill set to say that this run could go pretty far. Particularly if that white sand, if that collection of spell balls can get him through. Oh, that is a lot of Manuelas.
Yeah, that's not the most welcoming room to have an elevator in, that's for sure.
No, though Manuelas do have the advantage of being a little bit easier to get from your path than other monsters. They don't have a big range of vision, so you can easily lose them on like two wide intersections generally. If you position yourself well, you can lose them on those spots, and that comes in a lot of handy. A lot of spell balls, that is what we're the one to see here.
Yeah, he is pretty stocked up on spell balls at this point. He's got to be feeling pretty comfortable with that.
Leaving this stretch of floor, Hor's up on the floor 16. It might have been nice for him to do something with a barong if one was available, but he's using his block to let him scout around the floor a little bit, unfortunately only finding a weaker scroll for all of his trouble. But he'll still be able to get to the elevator.
Oh, yeah, Wugga being out of blinder balls, that's gonna change his tactics up a bit.
Yeah, I think so. As is having to use multiple charges on that killer to ensure it up. Almost, yeah, you don't want to be in quite that close a range with that snowman. And it looks like he is going to use the Holy Bell, hope that it goes in a different way than the one he wanted to.
One of 4 Holy Bells. This man is stocked to the gills.
Yep. If he can get him into a room, he can get into safety. The matter is getting it into a room, because now he is in a pincer. So what does he do here? How many uses do you think he has left on that sleep ball? I know I've seen him use 2. And it looks like it woke up instantly, and this is not. Would I chuck the egg? I think I might chuck the egg.
I think at this point, yeah, you chuck the egg. I'm not sure if a pillar ball is a guaranteed kill at this level.
It is not.
Though HP is a resource, as long as he doesn't encounter anything too terrible, he can regain that.
We say, and then he immediately an arachne. That would have been nice to hatch, but I think he's glad for it right now. I guess this is a time for Holy Bell, but there's going to be a snowman at every entrance and an atlas.
Horza's sitting on 2 HP as well.
He is just... This is a rough tower at this point. Neither of them are in real great situations. Wugga had a good stop, but has been burning through it a lot, due to bad luck mostly. Looks like he's fusing that Mana Weaver in with his block.
I'm assuming it's just for an MP boost at this point, since he had it all, the Maneva already hatched.
Yeah,
I don't know what other benefit
so.
he actually would have gained from that.
I don't think any in particular. Mana Weavers are very special, but not so much as fusion fodder. They've got a couple of neat to them, and certainly if you're playing a longer form of the game, like a bookless or like a casual run, there are things you can do with a Mana Weaver that come in pretty handy.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The Maneva have actually quite a few tricks up their sleeve, I suppose, between item duping and infinite MP and cool stuff like that. Though they are incapable of doing those things solo, they do need a bit of help in both situations.
Right. Mana Weavers are excellently programmed, and no strange happenings might occur with them. We are sure. We're also making some good time up through these later parts of the teens. He really struggled there for a bit, but now he's doing a little bit better and a little bit more. I don't think it would let him win this friendly third. I don't think the time is just going to allow it, but it is there, yeah. The block doesn't have great attack. It's not quite, the element we really want. And it's a lot of MP per encounter if you're using Taken, for example. Block makes great fusion fodder, because while defense isn't like the best stat, good defense is better than bad defense.
In Block's case specifically, though, it's actually a little bit less useful. It's a little less useful than you might think, just because the doubling effect that you receive from the Block's inherent trait actually needs to be recovered in some way, whether it be... Actually, I think the only way to recover defense is actually through a water crystal or leaving the tower, actually.
Or Curaller, I bet would work.
Oh, yes, or
that generally does. But it's still a little bit less common than a Hazak herb. Oh, and there was a kid in that egg. Well, at this point, the levels would make that pretty hard to use, and so I think A-bombing it was a good one. He now knows how many pillar balls are in pillar ball, and so now it's just going to be a matter of what does he do when the situation gets tough. Going through some of his lesser balls as well and checking that out. Oh yeah, there is, I guess, the Shomaru, which is a Barong only item. There are a couple of that. Barongs don't check the rarity before they spit it out correctly. They check it incorrectly, but not correctly. So in the end, it doesn't actually matter. And so you can see things that aren't in the towers regularly, more or less.
Recovering from that chaos trap just in time. That could have gotten pretty bad for Horza.
Yeah, it certainly could have. Likewise, I think at this point, just about anything could get pretty bad for Wugga. Luckily, there is that four-way intersection that's a good place to lose some monsters. Because monster AI is predictable enough at intersections. Unless they are aggro, they will generally try and keep their left hand against the wall unless something turns them around. Of which there are some things, and then they will try and keep the wall. Some more. I say that, but all of them have hands. They're still doing their best. They do their best to keep their left appendage against the wall. Wugga moving very carefully, checking out these rooms, trying to get sort of, oh wow, this is a lot of monsters piling up in this room. Horza has been picking up the pace a bit. He got through he's very quickly. I know he stalled for a little bit, probably on fire floors, and caused this gap to be a very wide one. He has hit his groove, I think. He's found his stride. This is sure a trap room.
Yeah, that's a bad combination. Big room, lots of traps. And that was actually pretty interesting to see the golem drop down like that. I wasn't expecting that.
Now, I believe that's that Iraq saw over on Wugga's side. He threw it. Horza is going to find a nice. He's surprised in there. Getting a monster with double attack and double, pretty good to me. For a while, that was like one of the preferred new game plus strats. It is at this point been superseded by things that have a little bit less raw power, but a lot more fun tricks. A little bit of curling.
I imagine he's gonna go for the fusion here, just for the double.
Raw stats, 4 days.
And now he has access to the paralyzed spell as well as the AoE.
Oh yeah, that would be pretty. I think he would need to use his commands for that.
Yes, he'll have to command it, but yeah.
That could come in handy in places. The AI one is pretty good. I know he can't lift it, but he can still manipulate movements. So there's certainly a lot of possibilities there. Wugga in a bit of a corner here. Certainly does not like getting hit by that maximum. The Barong would probably hit pretty hard too.
Oh yeah, I believe
take advantage of it. We don't normally see the Yeah, I think he's just spawned.
Yeah.
I think he is.
I don't think he gets out of this. Oh, and Olim, if he can survive this barong hit, he just might squeak by.
Just barely, but now he's in a bit of a pickle. He's just going to have to hope that something works out. Or that the barong... Oh, he's using as a block. So that way nothing else can get at him. That is clever. Now he has a boomerang. A barongarang.
And those monsters doubling back to catch up with him, but not quite quick enough.
That was some fantastic show of strategy here.
Absolutely. I don't know if I would have thought of that on the fly, to be honest.
It would be hard. And of course, like, you'd first have to make it to that one wide hallway. Yeah, he appears to be stuck between two sleeping monsters in the rooms that he needs to go to advance. And so, he did see the elevator on this. If he can get there, he can be so close to total victory and a second floor 40 climb tonight. Oh no, the elevation. Okay. Luckily they didn't have the time to hits off on him, but the elevation nearly ended that run.
And it looked like he saw the elevator on the spin.
He might have, yeah. In which case, that would be pretty hype. He is having to dodge around just about anything he might encounter. Might as well use the star glass. There's nothing left for him to really save it for. There's no saving anything for anything anymore. And there we go! A
Very nice.
Second floor 40 climb by Wugga today, marking off a great match.
I don't think we've seen 240 climbs in the same matchup, have we?
In past tournaments, I don't know if we've seen it in this tournament off the top of my head. That is pretty hype, and certainly not doing it with the easiest of circumstances. I will pass along GG and see if we get into an interview with them.
It looks like we will be having an interview.
Alright then. And I will start thinking of what questions I would want to ask. I think is, wow, that wrong strap.
Hello, Wugga.
Wow, that barong strap.
Yeah, I should not have survived that last one for sure.
And Horza, welcome.
Good game to both of you.
GG's, Horza.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened with the second seed, but that was kind of a bummer.
Oh yeah, you got soft locked, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that is so rough.
Don't feed him the Czar seed to an empty U-boat. I should have known better because I know we've even talked about that. Look.
I mean, it's such a niche situation, though. So
Right, and from what we can tell, it doesn't always have that effect, but I guess doesn't always isn't quite enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was rough, man. Feels bad.
Yeah, I've found quite a few soft locks during my practice sessions, and that is not one of them. So that's a bit scary to me personally. And it's something I'm definitely gonna have to keep in mind for my future matches.
Yeah, so if it's any
disappointed.
consolation, horse. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just disappointed. I just got an Arachne and block combo going, and then it was like GG. Oh.
Oh.
I actually had Arachne block in a race? What?
Yeah, that was very exciting to see, even if it came a little bit late to really see it strut its stuff. Wugga just zoomed through the tower. We spend some minutes thinking about collective nouns, and suddenly he's on floor.
Yeah, I mean, like, I was just getting bullied by things left and right, where it's just like, oh, look, another fire monster where I have a wind familiar. Oh, look, another fire monster where I have... Are there water monsters in the tower? I thought those were the bad ones. Don't we see those? Those don't exist? Okay.
Horse,
That's great.
You seem to have a lot of problems with pickets in pretty much every seed that you ran today, Forza.
Is Shawnee here? I need to blame someone for this.
Well, you can always blame Sam Knight.
Yeah,
No,
Sam Knight
this has Shawnee written all over it. This is a Shawnee blame. I was like, did Shawnee make all these seeds? Good Lord, Dreamin' and Picket. I've never seen so many pickets in my life.
Yeah, you got robbed hard. By that point, Wugga didn't get robbed at all.
Speaking of pickets, though, Wugga, I noticed you had an interesting fusion choice with your Griffin picket combo. What was your thought process behind that?
Well, it's really good because you can get 2 hits with AI1. So that was basically it. I figured, okay, this is gonna maybe get me through some of the tougher floors if I can use AI1 to my advantage. But then a little bit later, I've used my Dreamin' with it to get a sleep proof, and my brain immediately went, wait, I'm gonna lose the quick. And by then the fusion was done, and oh well, okay, let's just roll with it then, I guess.
Yeah, that was the thought.
Yeah, I mean, quick is pretty good, actually. It does consume more MP for sure, but...
It can't be any worse than the 4 MP castings with these freaking univerns and blocks, but you know, hey.
Yeah, the starting gear here could be a little bit rough. I think at some point you got a Scarlet Wand, but that was about nice.
We got a Scarlet Wand for a familiar, with a fire familiar that doesn't actually do any upscale damage from wands. It's just the little blindness effect. And like,
no, that actually does, I believe, do upscale damage.
It was only doing like,
that.
I swapped around my weapons and I was doing about 4 damage every single time with it. And I was just like, well, I guess that's just the way it is. It didn't even really do any extra damage to the... It was not good. Bloom is terrible.
Very odd. I think
Don't
in my
trust
test
Sand Knight.
it did, so I'll probably have to check that again.
You're talking about the 3rd seed, right?
Yeah, Bloom. I used it to try to brainwash the guys in that room, the 2-room floor we had on floor 5.
Right.
That was pretty bad.
I think I lost the Bloom at some point. I found a wind seed and immediately, okay, we're going to full-on paralysis, and then I made one silly mistake and the Bloom died. And at that point, because the 3rd one was totally stress-free for me, I figured, okay, we're not going to hatch anything. I'm just going to do any percent and just try to survive this solo. which I did. I'm pretty happy
Yeah,
about
it
that.
worked out pretty great.
That's what I did the first seed. I was just like, I'm not playing with the Dreamin' and I'm not playing with the ticket, so I'm just gonna go up the tower, and I don't really care.
At one point in that last seed, Wugga actually had 4 holy bells at one time stocked up. You had to have been feeling pretty good about that, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, I had to use them in situations. I wanted to save them for something better, but then I think it was 36 that really was really rough for me. Monsters coming every which way. It was an any percent nightmare, basically. I had to use most of them during that floor, I think, just to get all the monsters off my back.
I mean, at least you have the resources. I mean, even if it is a nightmare scenario, at least you can get out of it. Like, being able to get out of the nightmare scenario was very rare.
That's true. Also, is anyone in the market for empty acid rain balls? Because I think I have some to spare.
Yeah. I think that was during the second seed, right? That it was just acid rain ball city.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't even get to use any of mine because the U-boat was actually getting me up pretty fast, and then it soft flop.
Right.
Womp womp.
I think I had to use just about every acid rain ball on one monster, which always feels bad. But, you know, if it's between that and surviving, it's a pretty easy pick.
Yep, it can't help you if you're dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think that's just about everything. So I'm going to give the closing spiel of be sure to follow our runners. Check out our Discord for more Azure. This tournament is ongoing and we'll have a new set of matches for you next week. I don't remember what the specific commentary is. There we go. Okay, thank you. Be sure to check out our runners. Be sure Revan and possibly Chai, and yeah, there we go. Chai is on the list as well. And I thank you guys very much for coming out here. Thank you very much for watching. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Happy Valentine's, folks.
Happy Valentine's Day.
And we will see you later. Bye-bye.